Thomas Dekker once said, "Sleep is that golden chain that ties health and our bodies together." We all know how true this statement is. Sleep is also the common link that ties every human on this earth together. Every human on this earth together, because it accounts for 1/4 to 1/3 of the human lifespan. No matter who we are, how far or different from each other we may be, every human spends 30 to 40% of their life sleeping. Merriam-Webster defines sleep as the natural, easily reversible periodic state of many living things that is marked by the absence of wakefulness and the loss of consciousness of one's surroundings. Sleep is most known as the resting and restoration process of our bodies and mind. But what exactly happens when you sleep? Is it a doorway to another universe, or perhaps a way to peep into our subconscious mind? Before the 1950s, most people believed sleep was a passive activity during which the body and brain were dormant. They believed that the day's activity simply led a person's brain and body to reach a state of lethargy, and therefore sleep was nothing but a shutdown for the system to recharge and revitalize. They even called it a shut-eye. Ancient sages around the world, including India, Egypt, Greece, and Rome, have described sleep in various ways, associating mystical stories with them and naming gods who brought dreams to these sleepers. Very little progress was made in understanding this concept of sleep until the 1600s, when it was still considered no more than a detoxifying process of the body in which some bodily mechanisms shut down due to lack of blood. So it was considered that when one was asleep, their body was making a new and fresh batch of blood for them. In the age of enlightenment that followed, the science of dream interpretations and the study of sleeping patterns came into the discussion, but no solid discovery could be made in that regard. By the 1800s, excessive sleep was being shunned as a mark of laziness. But it turns out that sleep is a period during which the brain is engaged in a number of activities necessary to life, which are closely linked to the quality of life we lead, says Johns Hopkins sleep expert and neurologist Mark Wu. In the 1900s, with the discovery of neurons and their pathways, a momentous discovery of the body's circadian rhythms came to light, and today researchers like Wu are spending many of their waking hours trying to learn more about these processes and how they affect our mental and physical health. While scientists still believe that they have merely scratched the surface behind the science of sleep, we are also trying to understand sleep and its contribution to our lives. But first, we must understand that all sleep is not the same. When you fall asleep, you do not immediately hit the deep sleep spot, nor is it a gradual ascend and descend into core deep sleep, as believed by our ancestors. In fact, throughout the time you are asleep, your brain cycle will repeatedly shift between two different types of sleep: rapid eye movement, or REM sleep, and non-REM sleep. REM sleep, or rapid eye movement sleep, refers to the state in which your eyes move around rapidly in a range of directions but don't send any visual information to the brain. This is when the sleeper could be dreaming but fails to act on the dream. This stage lasts up to 90 minutes in human beings and is the deepest state of the sleep cycle. 50% of the sleep time in babies consists of REM sleep and gradually reduces as they ascend into adulthood. Non-REM or REM sleep can be segregated into 3 stages. The first stage comes between being awake and falling asleep. This is when your eyes are closed, but it is easy to wake you up. A sudden movement or noise could bring you right back to your conscious or awake state. But if uninterrupted, this phase normally lasts 5 to 10 minutes before we move to the next stage. The second stage of non-REM sleep is called light sleep, when the heart rate slows down, the body temperature drops, and your breathing starts to regulate in a slow, deep rhythm. This stage takes about 25 to 30 minutes to settle in your body, and it will take some effort to bring you back to consciousness. The third stage is deep sleep. It is considerably harder to get up at this stage, and if you try to do so, you would be disoriented for a few seconds or even minutes. It is during these deep stages of non-REM sleep that our body repairs and regrows tissues, builds bone and muscle, and strengthens the immune system. To carry out these tedious tasks, our body needs to be in a calm, open, and responsive state. This is why, in this stage, bodily functions are temporarily disconnected from the brain, causing a paralytic stage. Even though REM sleep was previously believed to be the most important sleep phase for learning and memory, newer data suggests that the third and fourth stages of non-REM sleep are more important for these tasks. These stages are considered to be more restful and restorative phases of sleep. This is where our body and muscles heal. The sleep cycle alternates between non-REM and REM sleep takes an average of 90 minutes and occurs between 4 to 6 times between a good night's sleep. The whole period normally progresses in the order of N1, then N2, then N3, back to N2, and into the REM. The proportion of REM sleep increases in the 2 cycles just before our body's natural awakening. That's why when you wake up, you feel rejuvenated and refreshed to start your day. When this sleep cycle's natural progression is disrupted, it results in sleep disorders, also called dysomnia. While there are several types of dysomnias or sleep disorders, the most common one is insomnia. With prolonged exposure to blue light in our generation, mainly with the use of mobile phones and laptops, insomnia has become extremely common. Several factors can lead to insomnia, like lack of exercise, no exposure to nature and sun, causing low production of melatonin, and an unhealthy diet or lifestyle. But insomnia itself makes it difficult for us to function and focus. And prolonged states of insomnia can be hazardous to the mental and physical health of a person. Other than insomnia, the most common sleep disorder is hypersomnia, which is excessive sleeping caused by disruption of our circadian rhythms. Narcolepsy, sleep apnea, and sleepwalking are among some of the most commonly occurring dysomnias affecting almost 62 to 65% of the world population. This means that every 2 out of 3 people alive today are suffering from some or the other form of dysomnia that may or may not have been detected yet. By claiming 30 to 40% of the chunk of our lives, sleep becomes our common ground as dwellers of this planet. With this study, we are bringing to you a glimpse into the powerful and often surprising findings in the study of sleep and what researchers are still trying to discover about the science of sleep. We will also be dwelling on the spiritual, mental, metaphysical, and other aspects of sleep in the coming episodes. Stay tuned to know more. All human beings on this planet have one thing in common. We spend 1/4 or 1/3 of our entire lives sleeping. While our most common desire of being successful relies on us waking up early and exercising our bodies and minds, sleeping too is just as important, if not essential, to become successful. The body needs rest, and sleep is extremely important in any health regimen. Robin Shetty, a renowned health expert, insists that eating, exercising, and sleeping, together in the right balance, make for a truly healthy lifestyle. Some, like Steve Rush, consider sleeping to be more important than eating. It's better to skip breakfast than to have less sleep. Rush, the trucking industry giant, once quoted, "From spiritual gurus to medical professionals to beauty experts, all have considered sleep as an elixir of youth, peace, and wisdom." While the hardworking commoner would evade prolonged rest and sleep, and may even go as far as considering it slothful and lazy, the ones on top of the curve insist that 7 to 9 hours of sleep is essential for a youthful and healthy life state. So what exactly have these famous and successful people, including scientists and wise sages, understood about sleep that eludes the common man? To understand this, let's dig deeper into the science of sleep. But first, let's understand the process of sleep. Any sleep cycle can be largely classified into 2 main parts: the REM and the non-REM sleep stages. The main difference between REM and non-REM sleep is that REM, or rapid eye movement, is the deepest phase of the sleep cycle, whereas non-REM consists of the stages leading up to sleep, further classified into three parts: N1, or the state of drowsiness, N2, light sleep, and N3, deep sleep. A linear logical thinker might conclude that since the first symptom of sleepiness is drowsiness, we enter the first phase of the non-REM cycle, N1, followed by the next two stages, N2 and N3, leading to a comfortable and dreamy REM sleep stage. But that wouldn't be entirely accurate. While it is true that we all start our cycle of sleep with drowsiness, that is, the first phase of the non-REM cycle, the upcoming stages don't come by immediately or in a linear pattern. This is how the cycle goes when you sleep. As you cycle into REM sleep, the eyes move rapidly behind closed lids, and the brain waves are like those during wakefulness. The breath rate increases, and the body becomes temporarily paralyzed as we dream. The cycle then repeats itself, but with each cycle, you spend less time in the deeper stage 3 of sleep and more time in REM sleep. On a typical night, you'll cycle through 4 or 5 times. REM, or REM, stands for rapid eye movement, and it has other aspects like virtual paralysis of the entire body. During the REM cycle, the sleeper's eyes are moving in all directions, but the visual signal never reaches the brain. Instead, the sleeper dreams, most likely in the form of images, ideas, emotions, and sensations. But because the body is in a dormant mode, the sleeper can rarely physically react. Although previously it was believed that during sleep, both body and mind, or brain, are dormant. Recent studies have shown increased brain activity during the REM phase, because of which the sleeper may dream intensely. During REM, most of our body's systems are in an anabolic state, restoring the immune system, nervous and muscular systems, and even our skeletal systems are all going through a collective healing and regeneration process during this phase. That's why people who manage a good night's sleep, lasting 7 to 9 hours, usually have an excellent metabolic system, leading them to look younger and be more active than someone who doesn't get enough sleep. When we don't sleep enough, our bodies get into sleep debt or sleep deficit mode. In simpler terms, the longer an organism is awake, the more it feels the need to sleep, meaning our bodies collect a sleep debt that must be paid off. The more sleep debt you collect, the slower your brain waves in the frontal cortex. Slower brain waves cause short attention spans, inability to focus, anxiety, impaired memory, and grumpiness. Prolonged periods of sleep deficiency lead to several physical and mental health problems. In addition, short durations of sleep or lesser periods of REM sleep also lead to obesity, increased risk of cardiovascular diseases, and migraines. With technological evolution in the 21st century, exposure to artificial light has substantially altered the sleep patterns of humans. We are seeing a rise in sleep disorders like insomnia, as well as the development, production, and sale of drugs that induce sleep have increased. While they may help kickstart the sleep cycle, they do not guarantee a healthy REM or non-REM cycle and may alter the user's sleeping patterns too. The chances of patients getting addicted to such over-the-counter drugs are high too. That's why medical experts try to steer patients away from drugs and paraphernalia and instead encourage them to develop healthy sleep hygiene. This includes going to sleep at the same time every night, avoiding exposure to blue light like TV, laptops, mobile phones, and other electronics, getting adequate exercise during the day, avoiding caffeine and sugar before bedtime, and by creating peaceful and relaxing sleep environments like darker room, lower room temperature, soothing smells, reading, and using white noise maker. Choosing one or a few of the above sleep habits consistently, night after night, will start sending signals to your brain and body and naturally kickstart the N1 process of the non-REM cycle, that is, drowsiness. Dietary and nutritional habits affect your sleep quality too. Steering away from spicy, sugary, and heavy-to-digest food and indulging in warm beverages such as tea or milk before bed has shown a significant rise in sleep quality. In addition, these habits will help in the natural secretion of the sleep hormone called melatonin. Our pineal gland, the gland most associated with spiritual awakening and wisdom, is also the guardian of our body's circadian clock, and as part of its daily function, naturally releases melatonin gradually at night. This secretion is often interrupted by unnatural light exposure from the cell phone and laptop screens. Circadian clocks, or circadian rhythms of a body, loosely mean the inner mechanism of our bodies and brains through the 24-hour cycle of the day. Mark Wu, a renowned neuroscientist from Johns Hopkins University, whose work focuses on how circadian time organizes sleep and arousal, and how neural circuits encode the homeostatic drive in mammals and other animals, have given us a unique peek into the world of sleep. According to Dr. Wu, the two main processes that regulate sleep are circadian rhythms and sleep drive. In the coming episodes, we will try to understand these two factors in depth and how they affect the quality and quantity of one's sleep. We will also take you through a study of the built-in sleep control systems of the human body. Did you know that there are factors that can help you control your own circadian rhythm? Meaning they can put you in charge of when and how long you want to sleep, while letting you control its quality and depth. If that interests you, stay tuned to know more. So far we have talked about sleep, its causes and its processes. Now that we are aware of the REM and non-REM cycles of the body and brain, let's dive deeper into our body's built-in control systems. While there are many bodily functions well within your control, like breathing, vision, etc., there are some you can't control fully. For example, the urge to sneeze or the process of excretion. You have limited control over them. That is, you can sometimes suppress them temporarily. Your beating heart, functioning liver, and lungs are part of an involuntary function. You don't have direct control of them, but these essential body parts remain functional in the background, keeping you hale and hearty and active through the day. Have you ever wondered how your body knows when to release digestive fluids and in what amount to digest your foods? Ever wondered why you get hungry at the exact hour every day, wake up at a certain hour involuntarily, or even feel sleepy? These involuntary functions are a part of our body's circadian rhythm, and we will talk about it more in this episode. According to neuroscientist Dr. Mark Wu, two main processes regulate sleep: circadian rhythms and sleep drive. Let's understand circadian rhythms first. Circadian rhythms are 24-hour cycles that are part of the body's internal clock, running in the background to carry out essential functions and processes. One of the most important and well-known examples of circadian rhythms is the sleep-wake cycle. The term circadian comes from the Latin phrase circa diem, which means around a day, and it works by helping to ensure that the body's processes are optimized at various points during 24 hours. Circadian rhythms exist in all types of organisms. For example, they help flowers open and close at the right time, and keep nocturnal animals from leaving their shelter during the daytime to prevent them from being exposed to more predators. In human beings, circadian rhythms coordinate mental and physical systems. Like the digestive system produces proteins to match the typical timing of meals, making you feel hungry around the same time every day. And the endocrine system regulates hormones to suit normal energy expenditure to avoid getting you exhausted or tired at once. Circadian rhythms are controlled by a biological clock located in the brain, which also stores all our hormonal secretions. One key function of this clock is responding to light cues, ramping up the production of the hormone melatonin at night, then switching it off when it senses light. Melatonin, also known as the sleep hormone, is responsible for the onset of the non-REM phase of the sleep cycle in our body. During the day, light exposure causes the master clock to send signals that generate alertness and help keep us awake and active. As night falls, the master clock initiates the production of melatonin and then keeps transmitting signals that help us stay asleep through the night. This is why exposure to light will disrupt or even stop the release of melatonin, rendering us sleepless. Therefore, when we expose ourselves to artificial light, or the blue UV light of our electronic devices, it can disrupt our sleeping patterns, leaving us sleepless. On the other hand, people with total blindness often have trouble sleeping because they are unable to detect and respond to these light cues. Another factor Dr. Wu states that is essential in sleep regulation is sleep drive, or sleep or wake homeostasis, which balances our need for sleep. When we have been awake for a long period of time, our sleep drive tells us that it's time to sleep. As we sleep, we regain homeostasis, and our sleep drive diminishes. Finally, our need for alertness grows, telling us that it's time to wake up. Sleep drive also plays a key role in our day-to-day functions. Your body craves sleep much like it hungers for food. Throughout the day, your desire for sleep builds, and when it reaches a certain point, you need to sleep. A major difference between sleep and hunger is that your body can't force you to eat when you are hungry, but it can put you to sleep when you are tired. That's right. It doesn't matter if you are in a meeting or behind the wheel of a car. When you are exhausted to the point of drowsiness, your body is even able to engage in micro-sleep episodes of 1 or 2 seconds while your eyes are open. This is why people with demanding jobs or lives, like handling heavy machinery or working through the night, need to be extra attentive toward their health and regulate their circadian rhythms to be functional when their sleep debt accumulates. It is difficult to change the circadian rhythm. However, you can adjust your sleep drive by following regular sleep and wake times, allowing yourself 7 or more hours of sleep each night, and adjusting your meal times and caffeine intake. No matter where you stand on the sleep monitor, if you make lifestyle changes to promote a healthy sleep schedule, you're likely to achieve it. By establishing sleep discipline, you can train your body to get enough sleep and pay off that accumulated sleep debt. When your sleep drive is off, you may feel tired during the day and wired at night. Habits like excessive intake of sugar or caffeine and napping for more than 30 minutes in the day can throw off your night's sleep by decreasing your body's sleep drive. Disorders of sleep or dysomnias are the result of dysregulated circadian rhythm as well as sleep drive and can lead to serious mental and physical health hazards if not tended to in time. Because of the rise in the number of dysomnia cases, several medical drugs have been introduced in the market to address this problem. Although these drugs may help induce the non-REM cycle of drowsiness, they do not guarantee healthy REM sleep. Additionally, these medicines may be addictive in nature, and therefore it is advisable to steer away from external stimuli to attain a good night's rest, and instead focus on developing natural ways that match the alignment of our body's circadian rhythms and induce sleep. Now that we understand the circadian rhythms and how it affects our sleep drive, we are empowered to make the decisions that are in our best interest. Have you ever wondered why sleep is so important and what will happen if the need to sleep goes unfulfilled? An interesting piece of research awaits us in this area. Keep listening to find out. So far, we have learned what happens when we sleep, the process of sleep, and the importance of REM and non-REM cycles. However, even after decades of research, the exact reason why we sleep remains one of the most enduring and intriguing mysteries in health science. To try and get to the bottom of this question, experts analyze how sleep works and what happens when we don't get enough sleep. Studies demonstrate that sleep is incredibly complex and has effects on virtually all systems of the body. Multiple parts of the brain are involved in the processes of producing hormones and chemicals that regulate sleep and wakefulness, also known as our circadian rhythms. While there is much that is still to be learned about the intricacies of how sleep works, existing research sheds light on the mechanics of what happens in the brain and body during sleep. This knowledge reveals how sleep is connected to numerous elements of physical, emotional, and mental health, and provides insights into how people can get better sleep. If you have ever felt foggy after a poor night's sleep, it won't surprise you that sleep significantly impacts brain function. In layman's terms, sleep is the time our brain and body use to heal and regenerate our body's system. That is also the reason why the quality and quantity of sleep required by our systems change with age. For example, babies between 4 to 12 months need up to 16 hours of sleep, including naps. Toddlers up to 2 years require up to 14 hours of sleep, including their nap time, whereas kids up to 5 years need 13 hours of sleep. The requirement in young children for sleep is significantly higher because their brain and body functions are in the early development stages. As these children sleep, their brains and bodies are working hard to grow their bones and muscles that will contribute to their height and weight, while their brain is forming neural pathways, inculcating learning and behavior, as well as healing any mental and physical damage caused during their playtime, etc. Between 6 to 12 years of age, a child needs at least 12 hours of sleep. During the teenagers, the sleep requirement goes down to 8 to 10 hours. And in adulthood, that is between 18 and 60 years, the sleep requirement stays at 7 to 9 hours. By adulthood, our brains have gone through all the initial build-up phases and are ready to serve their functions for the rest of our lives. However, it is important to consider the quality as well as the quantity of sleep. If a person has low-quality sleep, they will feel tired the next day, regardless of how many hours they have slept. Examples of low-quality sleep may involve waking often during the night, breathing difficulties such as asthma or sleep apnea, an environment that is unfit for a comfortable shut-eye, like being too hot, cold, bright, or noisy, an uncomfortable sleeping arrangement like a disagreeable bed, cushion, etc. When humans don't get an adequate supply of sleep, it has adverse effects on all systems of the body, including physical, mental, emotional, and even endocrine, immune, and skeletal levels. Simply put, when people don't get enough sleep, their health risks rise. For example, sleep deprivation may cause a person to be more prone to infections, which may take longer to resolve. They can also become prone to the common cold and cough and develop respiratory diseases. Less sleep affects the immune system and causes frequent illness to occur in a person. Sleep affects the hormones that control feelings of hunger and fullness too. It can also trigger the release of insulin, creating an imbalance in a person's sugar levels. Changes to sleep patterns can cause increased fat storage, change in weight, and a higher risk of diabetes. This is why a sleep-deprived person tends to eat more, eat junk, and the habit of midnight snacking or eating one's emotions is seen commonly amongst the night owls. That is why health professionals insist that a person should rest well during the night. Sleep helps the heart vessels heal and rebuild and affects the processes that maintain blood pressure, sugar levels, and control inflammation. Too little sleep increases the risk of cardiovascular diseases. Additionally, insufficient sleep affects hormone production, including the production of growth hormones and testosterone. It also causes the body to release additional stress hormones, such as norepinephrine and cortisol, resulting in anxiety and indecisiveness. Sleep deprivation affects the prefrontal cortex, which handles reasoning, and the amygdala, which deals with emotion. A lack of sleep may also make it harder for a person to form new memories, which can affect learning. Researchers insist that a healthy amount of sleep is vital for brain plasticity, or the brain's ability to adapt to input. If we sleep too little, we are unable to process what we have learned during the day, and we have more trouble remembering it in the future. Researchers also believe that sleep may promote the removal of waste products from brain cells, something that seems to occur less efficiently when the brain is awake. Lack of sleep puts us in sleep debt, which slowly starts to deteriorate the body and brain functions that are essential to keep us at our best. For example, one night of uncomfortable sleep may render you tired, groggy, and grumpy, but a couple more nights of disturbed sleep will cause your response time to be slower, your body's digestive systems will be disrupted, and your energy levels as well as your reasoning abilities will drop. Another week or 10 days of sleep deprivation can cause a person to hallucinate, and their sense of perception, taste, smell, and auditory functions significantly subside. An accumulation of sleep debt can lead to the symptoms of paranoia, anxiety, depression, seizures, high blood pressure, and worsened migraines. Immunity is compromised, increasing the likelihood of illness and infection. You may also end up experiencing episodes of microsleep during the day. During these episodes, you will fall asleep for a few to several seconds without realizing it. Microsleep is out of your control and can be extremely dangerous if you are driving or handling heavy machinery, putting you and others around you at risk too. Sleep also plays a crucial role in metabolism. Even one night of missed sleep can create a pre-diabetic state in an otherwise healthy person. There are many important connections between health and sleep, says neuroscientist Dr. Mark Wu. The best way to prevent sleep deprivation is to make sure you get adequate sleep regularly and deliberately. If your lifestyle doesn't permit you to have a complete 9 to 10 hours of sleep cycle at a stretch, then little naps throughout the day to prevent exhaustion and symptoms of sleep deprivation are highly recommended by the doctors. While today many drugs may promise to help you have a good night's sleep, no drug or external material determines the quality of sleep you get. Steering away from such drugs, as well as paraphernalia, caffeine, and sugary drinks before bed is recommended, as they all tend to disrupt the REM and non-REM cycles of your sleep. We will further investigate the cycles of REM and non-REM and how our body and brain fluctuate between them through the night in the coming episode. Stay tuned to know more. So far in this series, we have discovered the two main types of sleep cycles that we experience when we sleep, namely REM and non-REM cycles. Other than that, we have a fair understanding of our body's circadian rhythms, the advantages of a good night's sleep, and the disadvantages of sleep deprivation. In this episode, we will dive deeper into the science of sleep and figure out what exactly happens when we sleep. Notable changes begin to affect both our bodies and brain within a minute after falling asleep. There is a drop in the body temperature, activities of the brain ramp down, and heart rate and respiration slow down as well. This is because the energy expenditure of the body is lower during sleep. The body is in hibernation mode, just like when we put our computer into sleep mode. What happens to realize what happens to the body and brain when we sleep is nothing less than dynamic. Over the course of one night, you progress through multiple sleep cycles, each of which lasts between 70 to 120 minutes and is composed of separate sleep stages. These sleep stages are fundamental to how sleep works. There are 4 stages of sleep divided into 2 categories. The first 3 stages fall into the category of non-REM or non-rapid eye movement sleep, and the 4th stage is REM sleep. Non-REM stage, or N1, lasts between 5 to 10 minutes and can be classified as early drowsiness. In stage 1, you have just dozed off and started transitioning to the non-REM stage 2, or N2, which involves further slowing of activity in the brain and body. This stage lasts between 20 to 60 minutes. It is much easier to awaken during these early stages of the sleep cycle. Stage 3 of the non-REM cycle, or N3, is the most significant part of sleep. It is referred to as delta sleep, when the brain waves slow down significantly and body temperature is the lowest. This stage lasts between 20 to 60 minutes and creates the onset of REM sleep. Through a good night, you are likely to jump between this stage, which is N3, and REM the most. In this REM stage of the sleep cycle, your muscles and body relax further. Your brainwaves show a clear pattern of slowed activity, and this is significantly different from waking brain activity. Deep sleep is crucial in the process of recuperation of the body and mind. It also aids effective thinking and memory. The only stage of REM sleep is stage 4. During this time, brain activity picks up significantly, and most of the body experiences temporary paralysis, except the eyes and breathing muscles. We dream throughout all stages of the sleep cycle, but dreams during REM sleep are the most intense. The REM sleep stage is believed to be essential for the brain, enabling key functions like memory and learning. As the night goes on, it is normal to spend a greater percentage of time in REM sleep, with most of it occurring in the second half of the night. A person's sleep stages and cycle structure is known as their sleep architecture. Even though sleep and REM sleep involves more profound changes in activity levels, experts believe every stage plays a crucial part in a healthy sleep architecture that generates quality sleep. With technological advancements, human sleep architecture has also evolved over the years. The introduction of artificial light and constant consumption of blue UV light from our electronic devices have been shown to disrupt the production of sleep hormones in our bodies called melatonin. Our body's circadian rhythm follows the course of sunlight. When the sun sets and the surrounding temperature drops, the body sends the signal to the brain, which gradually starts the production of melatonin. Throughout the night, the production of melatonin is controlled by a part of the brain that takes light as its primary cue to release it. When we indulge in unhealthy sleep habits by scrolling through social media or binge-watching content, the brain senses this light cue and disrupts the production of melatonin. This is why when you defer your sleep at the cost of one more episode or just a few more minutes of chat or social media scrolling, your brain takes this light as a cue to stay awake and alert and stops the production of your sleep hormone. This results in you feeling sleepless temporarily. This is how your body accumulates sleep debt. Some other things that add up to this sleep debt are unhealthy lifestyle and eating habits, low to no exercise, minimum to no sun exposure, and irregular sleeping hours. Also, when we are stressed, it prevents our brain from following the regular relaxing process to enter the non-REM 1 phase, which in turn affects the quality of our sleep. This stress builds up in our system, and the brain recognizes this stress as a threat and cues in to stay awake and alert, further eluding you from sleep. It thus becomes a toxic cycle if not intervened in time, can cause some serious mental and physical health hazards to a human being. Researchers derive that the most common emotional and psychosomatic phenomena of our generation, like anxiety, depression, addiction, etc., are simply the symptoms of sleep deprivation due to stress, messing up our circadian rhythms. These symptoms can vary from person to person, depending on their stress levels, lifestyle, and quality and quantity of sleep they are getting. As more and more people have reported some sort of dysomnia or sleep disorder, medical science has also progressed in finding an apt solution to the problem. We have seen a boom in the production, promotion, and sale of drugs that promote a full night's sleep. However, these drugs, or any kind of paraphernalia, can never guarantee the quality of sleep. That is a complete REM cycle. In addition, anything that promises you sleep or comfort instantly falls into the addictive category, harming your natural body ecosystem further. This is why medical professionals, including therapists and other scholars, often promote a natural way of dealing with dysomnia, which is regulating your circadian rhythms. These include some self-care techniques, as well as some behavioral and cognitive treatments, which have shown tremendous results in recent years. Information regarding general relaxation and CBT is available on the internet, and you may find beautiful and subtle ways to trick your brain to relax through them and even catch a full good night's sleep. But you might wonder why your body gets sleepy at weird times, like post-lunch or a heavy meal, and what about afternoon naps? Are they healthy, or should they be avoided? If REM is indeed the deepest part of our sleep, why do we dream so intensely? And don't dreams keep our brain active too? All of these questions will be answered in our next episode when we understand how our body regulates sleep. We will dive deeper into the science of sleep and discover the secret of circadian rhythms further and understand the sleep-wake homeostasis that keeps our body clock ticking. Welcome back to another episode of The Science of Sleep. So far, we have tried to demystify the eluding subject of sleep when our minds and body are in an alternate state of consciousness. In the earlier days, people believed that our blood was the main source of energy for our body, and when we went to sleep at night, it was our body's way to recharge and make more blood for the next day's activity. But since 1600, as science progressed, so did the research on sleep. This was the time when dreams and their interpretation took the center stage. The main breakthroughs in the study of sleep came in the 20th century, as late as 1953, when scientists discovered that there are roughly two types of sleep, deep and light. They were further classified as REM, or rapid eye movement, and non-REM sleep, or non-rapid eye movement. While REM is the deepest part of our sleep, it is also referred to as rapid eye movement because in this stage, our eyes move in all directions and we experience the most intense dreaming during this time. Despite being the deepest part of our sleep, REM is not the phase we spend the most time in when we are asleep. It's the non-REM phases that we switch and move between throughout the night that lead us to the REM and out of it too. The three phases of non-REM sleep are N1, the initial drowsiness you feel as an indication of sleep. This phase lasts 5 to 10 minutes, giving you a heads up to lie down and create an environment suitable for resting. N2 is when your body functions, like breathing, heart rate, and temperature start slowing down, and your brain also starts producing low brain waves. Both N1 and N2 are initial phases lasting anything between 30 to 60 minutes. These are light sleep phases, and it is easier to wake up during them. This is a state of sleep you achieve when you take a nap during the day. N1 and N2 phases, when uninterrupted, lead you to N3, the deeper state of sleep, when your body and brain start to cut ties from your present reality and sink into a deeper alternate consciousness. This stage lasts between 20 to 60 minutes and creates the onset of REM sleep. The body regulates sleep with two key drivers: sleep-wake homeostasis and the circadian alerting system. Sleep-wake homeostasis is a technical term that describes something most of us know implicitly from experience, which is the fact that the longer you're awake, the more you feel the need to sleep, something that we call a sleep debt. This is because of the homeostatic sleep drive, the body's self-regulating system in which pressure to sleep builds up based on how long you have been awake. It can also regulate itself based on the activities and experiences that you have during your waking time. For example, if you have a fairly relaxing day with 14 to 16 hours of banal activities spread throughout those hours, you will still collect the sleep debt, but you will be able to pay it off with 7 to 8 hours of sleep at a stretch. On the other hand, if your wake time involves activities of physical strain and/or experiences that are mentally or emotionally straining to you, they cost your brain big brownie points, and your system calculates it as stress. This may add additional interest to your previously collected sleep debt, pushing you to sleep sooner or longer to recover from this debt. The sleep-wake homeostasis exists to prevent your body and brain from exhaustion as well as hypersomnia, creating a perfectly harmonious balance in your life. This same drive causes you to sleep longer or more deeply after a period of insufficient sleep. The second key driver is the circadian rhythm, or circadian alerting system. Part of your body's biological clock, circadian rhythms last roughly 24 hours and play a central role in numerous biological processes, including sleep. Light exposure is the biggest influence on circadian rhythms, encouraging wakefulness during the day and sleepiness at night. In a way, our body's circadian rhythms follow the period of sunrise to sunset very closely. With a light cue from the sunlight, our bodies begin to wake up. We tend to feel our freshest and lightest in the early hours of our waking. As the day progresses and different activities catch our attention and involvement, energy is combusted, and we begin to gather our need for sleep. Towards sunset, our bodies start relaxing and readies up for the final burst of energy. After sundown, as in a few hours, into early evening, our body senses the drop in surrounding temperature and senses the absence of natural light. With this cue, our brain starts the production of melatonin, also known as the sleep hormone. Melatonin is produced and secreted in small installments, giving us enough time to get our bodies ready for the nesting period or the period of hibernation. This is our cue to feed ourselves the final meal of the day, giving enough supply to our body to last 7 to 9 hours without any food or drink. This is why hydration plays an important role in our sleep too. Our body uses water as a cleansing and regenerative supply. It is important to drink plenty of water 2 to 3 hours before sleep, and also a glass of water before or by the bed is often recommended. Upon gathering enough supply with the progression of the night, our bodies become ready for the first stage of the sleep period. That is the N1 stage of the non-REM cycle, drowsiness. This is when you lay your head down, close your eyes, and get ready to descend into N2, the second stage of the non-REM. If uninterrupted, you are led into stage 3, the final stage of non-REM, and the onset of the deep sleep, or REM cycle. Throughout the night, our bodies move back and forth between N3 and REM. This is when our bodies are healing on all levels: skeletal, muscular, endocrine, and so forth. We dream intensely during these two stages, but likely won't remember or act upon any of them. And just before sunrise, our bodies experience the deepest REM of the night, which lasts up to 90 minutes. This stage is crucial before the brain catches on to the upcoming light cue with the sunrise. With the new day sunrise, circadian rhythm catches on and prepares your body to wake up naturally and refreshed, having cleaned up all junk files from the previous night, so to speak. This cycle of light cues followed by our body and brain from sunrise to sunset explains the circadian rhythm. Many other functions are part of our circadian rhythm too, like regulated bowel movements, feeling hungry at a certain hour, hormonal secretion throughout the day, etc. Sleep-wake homeostasis and circadian rhythms, these two factors directly affect how much your body feels a need for sleep, reflecting your biological clock, the time of day, your light exposure, and how long you have been awake. In addition, there is a wide range of external factors that can influence sleep-wake homeostasis and the circadian alerting system. For example, stress or hunger may disrupt your normal process of sleep regulation. Exposure to light from electronic devices and consumption of caffeinated drinks are other examples of how behavioral choices can alter the body's underlying systems for managing sleep. These multifaceted processes are managed by several parts of the brain, including the hypothalamus, the pineal gland, the basal forebrain, the midbrain, the brainstem, the amygdala, and the cerebral cortex. The fact that so many parts of the brain are involved in wakefulness and sleep, including the sleep stages, is a further demonstration of the biological complexity of sleep. Now that we understand sleep-wake homeostasis and circadian rhythms or circadian alerting systems are the two key factors that drive our need for sleep, let's see what happens inside our brains when we are asleep. While our conscious systems may be dormant and at rest when we are sleeping, there are other bodily functions that are not only active, but sometimes even hyperactive during our resting period, depending on their function. Researchers have found that our bodies are healing and regenerating during this time. Our bodies also experience the rise and drop in heartbeat, temperature, and brain activity depending on which sleep stage it is in. The mechanics of sleep-wake homeostasis and the circadian alerting system involve several chemicals and hormones. Changes in thousands of neurons in the brain are created when you shift between wakefulness and a complex signaling system that generates specific reactions in the body. To date, there is much that is still unknown about the intricate processes that control sleep, but researchers have discovered some substances that appear to be the important cogs in the machinery of sleep. A chemical called adenosine plays a central role in sleep-wake homeostasis. Adenosine builds up when we are awake and appears to increase sleep pressure. A naturally occurring chemical, adenosine relaxes and dilates blood vessels and also affects our heart's electrical activities. Adenosine helps restore normal heartbeats in people with certain heart rhythm disorders. Substances like caffeine, on the other hand, suppress adenosine, which may explain part of how it promotes wakefulness. Tobacco and sugary drinks also contribute to lower production and secretion of adenosine. Signals within the nervous system to activate or deactivate certain cells are sent by a chemical named neurotransmitters. GABA, acetylcholine, orexin, and serotonin are examples of neurotransmitters involved in promoting wakefulness or sleep. These are the hormones that keep you active throughout the day, giving you the energy to perform your daily activities. The levels of several hormones fluctuate throughout the day, according to the light and dark cycle, and are also affected by sleep, feeding, and general behavior. The regulation and metabolism of several hormones are influenced by interactions between the effects of sleep and the intrinsic circadian system. Growth hormones, melatonin, cortisol, leptin, and ghrelin levels are correlated with our sleep and circadian rhythmicity. Leptin and ghrelin are hormones associated with the feeling of hunger and the feeling of fullness. People who don't get enough sleep experience a disruption to all of these systems, which otherwise flow like clockwork. Light sleepers also tend to be emotional eaters or accustomed to midnight snacking and experience sugar cravings. There are also endogenous circadian mechanisms that serve to regulate glucose metabolism and similar rhythms pertaining to lipid metabolism, which are regulated through the actions of various clock genes within our physical systems. Sleep disturbance negatively impacts the hormonal rhythms and metabolism of our bodies and therefore leads to disorders like obesity, insulin insensitivity, diabetes, hormonal imbalance, and appetite dysregulation. Circadian disruption, typically induced by shift work, impacts our health negatively and can lead to impaired glucose and lipid homeostasis, reverse melatonin and cortisol rhythms, and loss of clock gene rhythmicity. Hormones also play a crucial role when it comes to signaling and regulating sleep-wake states. Melatonin promotes sleep and is naturally produced in our bodies as exposure to light reduces. It is one of the best-known hormones related to sleep. Adrenaline, cortisol, and norepinephrine are some other important sleep-related hormones. The circadian rhythm releases nearly every hormone in the body. When ignored, poor sleep will make you fall down a hormonal flight of stairs, says Dr. Sarah Gatfried, MD in neuroscience. Sleep is important for hormones to function effectively, as many of them are dependent on the sleep-wake cycle. The circadian rhythm impacts various hormone functions and their release. Getting adequate sleep is important for regulating several hormones essential for the normal functioning of our body and brain. Vital hormones produced while we are asleep, such as growth hormone as well as leptin and ghrelin that regulate appetite, may exert influence on sleep-wake homeostasis and circadian rhythms. Dr. Sarah Gottfried says, when you cut sleep, you reduce your levels of growth hormone, and you may be less able to repair injuries and more likely to accumulate belly fat. The function of these chemicals and hormones may be different in some individuals based on their genetics, which is why certain sleep disorders, like sleep apnea and familial insomnia, may run in families. It isn't surprising that insomnia has a genetic component. Other aspects of sleep are also affected by your genes, such as how much sleep you need. The chemical and hormonal signaling that is responsible for sleep can also be influenced by the environment and lifestyle choices. Caffeine, alcohol, and tobacco all interfere with sleep quality, including your ability to fall asleep and stay asleep. Medical professionals often advise you to minimize your intake of these substances, especially in the afternoon and evening, as they interfere with the secretion of your sleep hormone, also known as melatonin. Studies have proved that having caffeinated drinks, even 6 hours before going to bed, can disrupt sleep. Similarly, using electronic devices in the hours before bed can keep you up at night and lead to symptoms of sleep deprivation over time. Switch off your phone, TV, and computer an hour or two before bedtime, and turn on your smartphone's blue light blocking filter in the evening hours to ensure a better quality of sleep. A regular exercising routine can help tire your body for a good night's sleep. Medications may help relieve insomnia and related conditions, however, they don't ensure the quality of sleep and tend to have serious side effects. Instead, studies have shown a remarkable positive influence brought along by CBT, or cognitive behavioral therapy, which includes tapping on your lip and shoulder while affirming relaxation. It is a simple, hassle-free exercise and has helped promote sleep, alertness, and several changes in people's brain plasticity. Sleep experts confess that many people who experience insomnia are hyper-aroused, which means their emotions, nervous systems, or other physiological systems are overactive. By following a calming bedtime routine, you can both cue your brain that it's time to sleep, as well as relax your body and mind to prepare for bed. Practicing good sleep hygiene is crucial too. Following a regular sleep-wake cycle and identifying negative, stressful, or maladaptive thoughts that contribute to your insomnia are parts of practicing good sleep hygiene. Encapsulating today's study, we learned that a good night's sleep is necessary for hormone balance in the body, which is important for bodily functions and processes. Poor sleep or not enough sleep can lead to a hormone imbalance, which can have negative effects on our mental and physical health. Forming and sticking to a sleep routine can help you regulate your hormones and reap the health benefits that go with it. Finally, meditation, sleep hygiene, and CBT have shown conclusive results in the treatment of sleep disorders. In the next episode, we will talk about why our bodies need sleep and what happens when we don't get enough of it. With the rise in insomnias or sleep disorders, we will reflect on all the goodness that a good night's sleep contributes to our general well-being. As we learn different aspects of sleep, its effects on our minds and bodies, and the role it plays in our lives and well-being, scientists believe that we have still only scratched the surface of the grand study that is the science of sleep. Several indicators support the theory that sleep serves a crucial biological function, even though experts haven't reached a consensus on the explanation of why we sleep. Almost all animal species also sleep, despite the fact that it creates vulnerability and takes time away from feeding or procreating. This is a strong indication that sleep is fundamental to well-being, if you look at it from an evolutionary perspective. Sleep is a part of a living being's circadian rhythm, which exists in almost all species, including flora, fauna, animals, and even algae, fungi, etc. The circadian rhythms triggered by natural light and temperature help an organism adapt to a daily cycle essential for survival. One of the common links is sleep. All organisms sleep, or at least enter a dormant state, which helps them regenerate the lost energy through other activities. Sleep is critical to the physical and mental development of humans, be it babies, children, and young adults. Infanthood is when humans indulge in the longest sleep hours. Babies up to the age of 2 can sleep for 14 to 16 hours, including naps, as these are the crucial years of brain, bone, and muscle development. Children till the age of 12 require 12 to 14 hours of sleep, and the need to sleep gradually lessens as one reaches preteen years. By 18, our brain's neural pathways are formed, and our bones and muscles achieve optimum growth spurt. Sufficient sleep during these crucial stages of development can hinder several maturation processes, which would otherwise occur naturally. Lack of sleep may intervene in learning abilities, focus, attention span, as well as memory and retention abilities may be lower. Excessive stress during an early age can also cause early maturation of skin and whitening of hair, and may also contribute to short height and obesity. A wide range of negative health consequences has been associated in adults with a lack of sleep. Sleep deprivation can affect our body's immune system. Studies indicate low resistance to fight viruses, causing the common cold, etc. In people who do not get quality sleep or enough sleep, your recovery when you fall sick can also be affected due to a lack of sleep. Our immune system releases proteins called cytokines when we are asleep, some of which help promote sleep. Certain cytokines need to increase production when you have an infection or inflammation, or when you are under stress. The production of these protective cytokines may decrease due to sleep deprivation. In addition, infection-fighting antibodies and cells are reduced during periods when you do not get enough sleep. So in order to fight infectious diseases, our body needs proper sleep. Long-term lack of sleep also increases your risk of obesity, diabetes, and heart and blood vessel cardiovascular disease, including heart and cholesterol troubles, a weakened immune system, higher risk of obesity and diabetes, impaired thinking and memory, emotional imbalance, and mental health problems like depression and anxiety. Sleep deprivation causes you to feel sleepy during other hours. A long period of drowsiness can create an onset of depression. Researchers have found links between insomnia and the most common sleep disorder of our generation, with depression. In 2007, a study conducted with over 10,000 insomnia patients revealed that people with a consistent lack of sleep are most likely to suffer from depression. Insomnia is the first symptom of depression and should not be taken lightly. In addition, sleep deprivation has been found to speed up the aging process in human beings. A few nights of missed sleep can cause sallow skin and puffy eyes, but chronic sleep loss can cause lackluster skin, fine lines, and dark circles under the eyes. When you don't get enough sleep, your body releases more stress hormone, cortisol. Cortisol, when released in excess amounts, can break down skin collagen, the protein that keeps skin smooth and elastic. The release of human growth hormones also reduces due to the lack of sleep. When we are young, human growth hormones promote growth, and as we age, it helps increase muscle mass, thicken skin, and strengthen bones. It is during sleep, what we call the slow wave sleep, that growth hormone is released, says sleep expert Phil Gurman, PhD. It seems to be part of normal tissue repair, patching the wear and tear of the day. In 2009, American and French researchers determined that brain events called sharp wave ripples are responsible for consolidating long-term as well as short-term memory. These ripples transfer learned information from the hippocampus, where short-term memories are stored, to the neocortex of the brain, where long-term memories are stored. Sharp wave ripples occur mostly during the deepest levels of sleep, that is the REM level of sleep. And when you default to getting good quality sleep, it affects the memory and its recall ability. Our ability to make sound judgments or interpretations of events also gets affected due to a lack of sleep, as we may not assess situations accurately and act on them wisely. Sleep-deprived people seem to be especially prone to poor judgment when it comes to assessing what lack of sleep is doing to them. In our increasingly fast-paced world, functioning on less sleep has become a badge of honor. But sleep specialists say that if you think you are doing fine on less sleep, you are probably wrong. And if you work in a profession where it is important to be able to judge your level of functioning, this can be a big problem. Studies show that over time, people who are getting 6 hours of sleep instead of 7 or 8 begin to feel that they have adapted to that sleep deprivation. They insist that they have gotten used to it. Dr. Gurman, a sleep expert, says, but if you look at how they actually perform on tests of mental alertness and performance, they continue to go downhill. So there is a point in sleep deprivation when we lose touch with how impaired we are. Prolonged hours of sleeplessness can alter the brain's perception of light and sound too, making them more sensitive to these cues. In addition, patients with insomnia often complain about a constant ringing sound in their inner ear, as well as depleted depth perception. These early symptoms are our body's ways of reminding us to catch up on a much-needed shut-eye, and if ignored, can only worsen from here. These diverse ramifications of sleep deprivation offer strong support to the view that sleep doesn't have just one biological purpose, but in fact, through its complexity, it is an important contributor to the proper functioning of nearly all of the systems of the body. In the last 5 decades, scientists and researchers around the world have conducted extensive experiments in order to study the interrelation between our body and sleep. While there are many branches within the umbrella of studying sleep, the most notable one is the study of diseases caused by dysomnias or sleep disorders. In the next episode, we will learn the various types of dysomnias, from genetic to behavioral ones. While scientists are still making new discoveries in the Department of Sleep, Science of Sleep, there are few existing sleep conditions that elude them just as much as sleep itself. Sleep-related difficulties are on a new rise in the 21st century. With the introduction of artificial light into our surroundings and the constant consumption of blue UV through electronic devices like TV, laptops, mobile phones, etc., circadian rhythms are often disrupted. Sunlight is the first cue for our bodies to wake up, and sundown is the cue to produce the sleep hormone called melatonin. The false light from our electronics disrupts the production of melatonin, rendering us sleepless. With caffeine, sugary drinks, alcohol, tobacco, and other harmful ingestions throughout the day, the sleep cycle is further disrupted, giving way to a number of sleep disorders or dysomnias in human beings. In fact, sleep researchers predict that at least 1 out of 4 people suffer some or other form of dysomnia or sleep disorder regularly or in intervals during their lifetime. Common medical problems are often associated with abnormalities in sleep. People with chronic medical disorders sleep for fewer hours and get less restorative sleep compared to other healthy individuals, which only worsens the subjective symptoms of the disorder. Individuals with lung disease often have disturbed sleep related to oxygen desaturations, coughing, or dyspnea. Poor quality sleep is associated with obstructive lung disease and restrictive lung diseases as well. Also, untreated or undertreated asthma commonly causes sleep disruption. Another effect of disrupted sleep is gastroesophageal reflux, which causes awakenings by heartburn, dyspepsia, acid rash, coughing, or choking. Patients with a chronic renal disease commonly have sleep complaints, often due to insomnia, insufficient sleep, sleep apnea, or restless leg syndrome. One of the most common forms of dysomnia is insomnia. The inability to initiate or maintain sleep is a characteristic of insomnia. Sometimes insomnia can also cause early morning awakening, where people wake up several hours early and are then unable to resume sleeping. Difficulty initiating or maintaining sleep may often manifest itself as excessive daytime sleepiness. which results in functional impairment throughout the day. Narcolepsy is another common occurrence in people suffering from sleep deprivation. Hallmark signs of narcolepsy are excessive daytime sleepiness, which includes episodes of irresistible sleepiness combined with sudden muscle weakness. People suffering from narcolepsy experience sudden and aggressive episodes of microsleep that are beyond their control. Sleep deprivation can also cause restless leg syndrome, or RLS, at first identified as the body's coping mechanism to prevent falling asleep. RLS is characterized by an unpleasant creeping sensation, often feeling like it is originating in the lower legs and is associated with aches and pains throughout the legs. This causes the sleeper further difficulty initiating sleep and is relieved by movement of the leg, such as walking or kicking. Abnormalities in the neurotransmitter dopamine have often been associated with RLS. Many consider snoring as an annoying habit, but it is much more than just that. It could be a sign of sleep apnea. Individuals suffering from sleep apnea make periodic gasping or snorting noises, due to which their sleep is momentarily interrupted. People with sleep apnea sometimes also experience excessive sleepiness during the day, as their sleep is commonly interrupted, because of which they may not feel restorative. Sleep apnea is treatable depending on its cause. If other medical problems are present, such as congestive heart failure or nasal obstruction, sleep apnea may resolve with the treatment of these conditions. Obstructive sleep apnea, or OSA, is caused by a physical obstruction that blocks the upper airway. The obstruction may be attributed to large tonsils or adenoids, fluid buildup from advanced heart or kidney failure, or genetic syndromes that affect facial structure, such as cleft palate. Obese people with fat deposits around their necks are also at high risk of OSA, and back sleeping can lead to apnea episodes if the tongue falls back into the throat. Central sleep apnea occurs when the brain stops sending signals to the muscles that control breathing, leading to choking episodes during the night. As with OSA, obesity is a common risk factor for CSA. People, including those who have experienced a stroke, brain infection, and/or some other medical problems with the brainstem, and also those who take narcotic painkillers and other sleep-inducing medication, are also affected by this condition. Now let's talk about that feeling when you find it especially difficult to part with your pillow in the morning. Many people have this problem, and in many cases, they can have a condition called dysania. According to the Cleveland Clinic, it can be caused by a nutritional deficiency, depression, or other mental health issues. Another sleep-related problem is hypoventilation, in which people have episodes of shallow breathing, elevated blood carbon dioxide levels, and low oxygen levels while sleeping. Individuals with medical conditions such as chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, COPD, or medication or substance use are more prone to this. Another sleep disorder that many people have is nightmare disorder. This involves repeated occurrences of lengthy, distressing, and well-remembered dreams that usually involve efforts to avoid threats or danger. These dreams generally occur in the latter half of a major sleep episode. Nightmares are usually lengthy, vivid, story-like sequences of dream imagery that seem real and can cause anxiety, fear, or distress. People experiencing nightmares are alert almost immediately after they wake up, and in most cases, remember the dream and can describe it in detail. Nightmares can cause significant distress or problems in functioning in some people. Even though nightmares begin between ages 3 and 6 years, they are most common and severe in late adolescence or early adulthood. Now let's talk about hypersomnolence disorder. People with this disorder are excessively sleepy despite getting 7 to 8 hours of sleep. They sometimes face difficulties waking up in the morning, appearing groggy, confused, or combative, often referred to as sleep inertia. This kind of state of constant sleepiness can cause significant distress and can also result in problems with functioning, such as lack of concentration and memory. This condition typically begins in the late teens or early 20s, but may not be diagnosed until many years later. Among individuals who consult in sleep disorders clinics for complaints of daytime sleepiness, approximately 5% to 10% are diagnosed with hypersomnolence disorder. Sleep disorders that are left untreated can lead to an increased risk of accidents, and can also result in the development of various serious complications. Mood and anxiety disorders may develop. Sleep deprivation can also lead to false memory and a decline in cognitive functioning. Sleep-related disorders are more than you can think of. Another condition is known as periodic limb movement sleep disorder. Patients suffering from this have a higher risk of cerebrovascular accidents. Untreated OSA, especially if severe and associated with hypersomnia, can lead to various cardiovascular disorders. Common sleep disorders like insomnia, restless legs syndrome, narcolepsy, and sleep apnea can affect every aspect of your life, including your safety, relationships, school, and work performance. It causes depletion in judgment, decision-making abilities, thinking, mental health, weight gain, and the development of diabetes and heart disease. Not getting enough quality sleep can hurt your quality of life. It is important to insist on a regular sleep schedule that lasts 7 to 9 hours. And if the sleeper experiences disruptions in sleep or difficulty in falling or staying asleep, it is crucial to identify and treat the problem sooner rather than later. In the matter of accumulating sleep debt, prevention always seems to be a better measure than a cure. Medical experts also assert the use of non-pharmacological solutions rather than moving to pharmacological ones due to their addictive nature and harmful side effects. What are these pharmacological measures, and how to set yourself up for them? Under what circumstances should pharmacological solutions be practiced? We will dig deeper into these questions in our next episode on the science of sleep. It is rightly said that the best bridge between despair and hope is a good night's sleep. No matter what kind of day you have had, a good night's sleep has the power to repair and rejuvenate our minds and body. A fresh mind is a home for fresh perspectives, creative solutions, and a hopeful heart for a better day, a better future, and a better life. But the world we live in today is a fast-paced kaleidoscope designed to run during our waking hours. There's always one more episode to watch, another party to go to, one more scroll on social media, one more trend to follow, one more destination to go to, and to get the means to do all this, there is more work, more success to achieve, and more hours to stay awake. A vicious trap of sleepless nights and long, dreadful days that require half of our attention has disrupted our body's natural circadian rhythms, leading to an imbalance in our internal system. According to some researchers, poor sleep has an immediate negative effect on our hormones, exercise performance, and the functioning of our brain. A poor sleep cycle can also cause weight gain and increase the risk of diseases in adults as well as in children. Good sleep, on the other hand, can help you eat less, exercise better, and be healthier. However, over the past few decades, both sleep quality and quantity have declined. In fact, a lot of people get insufficient sleep. If you want to turn this around and lead a healthy and active lifestyle, the first place you should start is our bed. Getting a good night's sleep is the starting point of good health and holistic well-being. In today's episode, we will be sharing some good habits that will help better the quality as well as quantity of sleep you are getting. Our body has a natural timekeeping clock known as circadian rhythm, which takes cues from natural light. So with the sunrise, it cues in our energy that will last all day, and with sundown, it releases melatonin that helps put us to sleep and stay asleep through the night. This light affects our brain, body, and hormones, helping us stay awake and telling our body when it is time to sleep. Circadian rhythm stays healthy due to natural sunlight or bright light during the day, and this improves energy during the daytime and the quality and duration of sleep at nighttime. Studies in people with insomnia have shown daytime bright light exposure improved sleep quality and duration. Not only this, but the time it took them to fall asleep also reduced by 83%. Sleep quality and duration can be improved by exposure to daily sunlight or artificial bright light, especially for those who suffer from severe sleep issues or insomnia. Reducing exposure to artificial blue light in the evening can set us on the right path for quality sleep. The blue light tricks our brain into thinking it is still daytime, and this affects our circadian rhythm. There are several ways to block out the blue light. which electronic devices like smartphones and computers emit in large amounts. You can wear glasses that block out blue light, or get an app to block blue light on your laptop or computers and mobile phones or tabs. Turning off the TV and bright lights 2 hours before sleeping time will significantly improve your sleep time. In addition, it is best to avoid caffeine, sugary drinks, alcohol, and other harmful substances that could hinder your sleep. Studies show that caffeine can stay elevated in your blood for 6 to 8 hours, and consuming these caffeinated drinks up to 6 hours before bed significantly worsens sleep quality. Now, who doesn't like a long nap during the day, right? While daytime napping could be a quick recharge for your body, sleeping in the daytime can confuse your internal clock, meaning that you may struggle to sleep at night. The study says that napping for 30 minutes or less can enhance daytime brain function, but longer naps can harm health and sleep quality. Also, being consistent with your sleep and waking times can aid long-term sleep quality, since our body's circadian rhythm functions on a set loop, aligning itself with sunrise and sunset. Studies show that our circadian rhythm and levels of melatonin, which signal your brain to sleep, can get altered due to irregular sleep patterns. Many people believe that the bedroom environment and its setup are key factors in getting a good night's sleep. That include temperature, noise, external lights, and furniture arrangement. So how do we do this? Your bedroom environment should be optimized, while external noises, lights, and artificial lights from devices like alarm clocks, etc. should be minimized. Your bedroom should be a quiet, relaxing, clean, and enjoyable place. Having meals late or late-night binging can also affect both sleep quality and the natural release of HGH and melatonin negatively. It is advisable to have a low-carb diet or eat at least 4 hours before bedtime, which can significantly improve sleep, indicating that carbs aren't always necessary, especially if you are used to a low-carb diet. Helpful sleeping strategies include listening to relaxing music, reading a book, taking a hot bath, meditation, deep breathing, and visualization. Exercise is one of the best ways backed by science to improve your sleep and health. Not only can exercise enhance all aspects of sleep, but it can also reduce symptoms of insomnia. Exercising offers more benefits than most drugs for people suffering from severe insomnia. It has been in people who exercise regularly, time to fall asleep reduced by 55%, total night wakefulness by 30%, and anxiety by 15%, while increasing total sleep time by 18%. A survey of 155,000 adults was conducted on whether they had exercised in the past month, including low-intensity activities like golfing, gardening, or walking. Those who engaged in these activities were 1/3 less likely to have sleep-related problems and half as likely to experience daytime tiredness. Listening to music has also proved to help many people. Music can lower your heart rate and breathing. It can lower your blood pressure and relax your muscles. All these processes can help you fall asleep. A study published in the Journal of Advanced Nursing found that people who listened to 45 minutes of classical music before bed reported better sleep quality than those who didn't. The bottom line is, sleep plays a key role in our health. One large review linked insufficient sleep to an increased risk of obesity by 89% in children and 55% in adults. Other studies conclude that getting less than 7 to 8 hours per night increases your risk of developing heart disease and type 2 diabetes, and even brings you closer to the risk of death. If you are interested in optimal health and well-being, it is recommended that with all the other things in your life, you must make sleep a top priority and incorporate some of the tips mentioned above.